This is the exact system that we use to help our coaches grow and scale their fitness businesses predictably quarter on quarter. And I get it. You're probably skeptical and a little bit apprehensive. I'm just a random guy on the internet after all. So let me introduce myself. I'm Matt. I grew my fitness business from £0 to £250,000 in annual turnover in 4 years. And now I help coaches all around the world do exactly the same thing. Just like Chris, who came to us working full-time in the RAF, charging £10 a week for coaching and making £1,000 a month, who just made 34 grand in 78 days. And Jake, who came to us working full-time in a construction job, trying to coach on the side, making £200 a month, exhausted and tired, who now makes £6,500 a month as an online coach who's 10x'd his client base. Or Blair, who came to us working on the gym floor, making £3,000 a month, who now brings in predictably 20 grand a month and has hired a team of coaches. And finally, Andy, who came to us stuck on the gym floor making £3,000 a month and said that he had the ambition of being fully online within a year, but we did it within 5 months. Now he's making £5,500 online on his own terms. So let's get into the video. Basically, in order for you to grow your business, you're gonna have to have data, you're gonna have to have numbers. And I feel like when coaches come to us, the biggest problem that they have is a lack of data, a lack of numbers, and they're just hoping and praying that just by doing more of any given action that their business will grow. So the very first thing we need to look at is, just like training, you need data. If to get bigger and stronger, you need progressive overload. In order for progressive overload, you would have to know what you lifted last week in order to lift slightly more this week. I think as coaches, we can all understand that. Business and finances are exactly the same. It's just progressive overload. And in order to do that, you need to know where you are now, where you want to be, and then you need to chunk it down. So basically, when we think about maybe you want to add 50 kilos to your squat this year, you wouldn't just go into the gym and add 50 extra kilos to the bar because you would crush yourself to death. So what instead we would do is we would break that 50 kilo goal down into various different macro cycles. We would take the year-long target, we would break it down into various chunks, looking at different things, and increase it over time. Finances are exactly the same. So the way we like to think about fitness businesses in the Optimised Coach is to think about the year-long goal. Where would you like to be this time next year? From that, we chunk down into financial quarters. And I think it's worth explaining what the financial quarters are because it always surprises me when coaches come on board that they don't actually know what the financial calendar looks like. So when we think about quarters, we have various 4 quarters, funnily enough, in the year: Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. And in those quarters, they look like this. Q1 takes you from January to April, Q2 takes you from April to July, Q3 takes you from July to October, and then Q4 takes you from October to January. Now, what I will say before we get into this video, I'm going to give you a system, the exact system that we use with our coaches to help them map out each quarter where they want to be, and then to make a plan for the actions that need to go into making that plan a reality. So the caveat is, if you are watching this video and we are more than, say, 70% through any given financial quarter, we're in the last month of a quarter, I would say that you probably want to do the exercise for the following quarter. So if it's March, at the end of March, basically comes April, predictably. After that, we're in Q2. We want to think about, okay, we'll do this for Q2. So if we're more than 70%, you can do it for next quarter. If we're less than 70%, you can do it for the remaining quarter that we're in. Now, the system's pretty straightforward. It looks like this. It's something that we call the money matrix in the Optimised Coach. It's surprisingly simple. I know it looks like a lot of maths, and as a guy that is very, very shit at mental arithmetic, go with me here. You don't have to be good at maths. You don't even have to be good at business to make this make sense, and this is going to crack it for you. So the first thing we need to do in box number 1 is think about where you want to be for a new quarter goal. It says there monthly. So at the end of the next quarter, the first question is, where would you like to be financially? What would you like to earn by month by month at the end of the quarter? So if we're looking at Q2, where would you like to be by the end of Q2, bringing in monthly? Let's say, for the sake of our example today, that you would like to bring in £5,500. So £5,500 is your new goal quarter. That's where you'd like to be. Great. Now, box number 2 is what your current run rate is. So that's what you're currently earning predictably on a monthly basis. For the sake of our example, let's say that right now you are earning £3,200. If you make £3,200 and your goal is to make £5,500, then what we need to do, as you can see here, is do a quick minus sum. So 5,500 minus 3,200, which in our case equals 2,300. So in this case, the coach wants to make 5,500. They're currently making 3,200. The gap, which is box number 3, that they have to make up is £2,300. Easy peasy. Don't think anyone's unclear on that. As you can see from the green arrow, we carry the gap into box number 4, which is down here. So we just want to carry that number down. No maths required. We just say £2,300 goes in there. The next thing we need to do is think about what we would call your average selling price, or ASP. So in box number 5, we think clearly about whenever you go into a sales discussion, let's say for the sake of the example, you sell coaching at £179 a month. You also have an upfront offer, but if you look at what you sell most, in this case for the example, we're going to say that 80% of your sales result in a split pay and the other 20% result in an upfront. So we're going to ignore the upfronts for now because, just a quick side note, upfronts are an emotional roller coaster for a number of reasons. So if your average selling price therefore is £179, when you make a sale, again, another side note that's very important, we want to track the money that you collect. You don't count money projected. So if you're projecting that you'll have this person for 4 months because you've got a contract or whatever, don't count 4 times 179, just count 179, because that's what you're collecting today. So you're going to collect £179 on average in any given sale. Great, average selling price is 179. Now what we need to do is follow the symbol. We need to divide 2,300 by 179. Now I'm going to be real with you. I've done these numbers in advance because I have no idea what the answer to that question is. I'll tell you from the maths I did already that the answer is 12.8, which we put into box number 6. Now box number 6, as you can see from the title, is the number of new clients required. So just to explain what we've done, we've taken the gap, which is £2,300. We've said that we sell an average of £179 per sale. We've divided the gap by an average sale price, which has given us the number of new clients required to get to that run rate, which in this case is 12.8 clients. So what we're going to do is we're going to move that number down, following the kind of pink arrow there, into box number 7, which is easy peasy, but I'll add one quick thing. You can't have 0.8 of a client. I reckon I'm probably 0.8 of a guy because I'm not that tall, and that's okay, but let's just run with the fact that we need to round up to full numbers and say that this person, in the sake of the example, requires 13 new clients. 13 new clients between now and the end of the quarter would therefore equate, at 179, filling the gap of £2,300. So in box number 8, we then look at the number of weeks that you have. You'll note underneath there is a caveat that says minus the weeks past and minus any planned time off. What that means is, so let's just do a couple of examples. It's the start of a quarter. You're planning for the next quarter, so you've got 12 full weeks in any given quarter. Great, fantastic, you're just going to run with 12. You need to look ahead and you need to ask, have I got any time off? If you've planned to have 2 weeks off that you're not going to be selling, the answer is 10 weeks that you have. That would be fairly straightforward. 12 weeks in any given quarter minus the 2 weeks you're taking off equals 10. The top caveat is minus weeks past. If you're doing this in the middle of a quarter, you need to look at how many weeks have already passed. So if you are 4 weeks into a 12-week quarter, we have 8 weeks remaining. So you need to do those 2 things. Take off the weeks that have passed already in this quarter, and then take off any time off that you have pre-planned. Simple as that. So for the sake of our example just now, we will say that this coach has 9 weeks. So this coach has said, I'm going to take 3 weeks off. Maybe 1 week has passed, and maybe they're going to take a 2-week holiday. Maybe 2 weeks passed, they're going to take a 1-week holiday, or maybe they're just being bougie and they're taking a 3-week break. Regardless, this coach needs 13 new clients, but they have 9 weeks to acquire those clients in order to get to the goal of 5,500. So this person, if we take those numbers again and we divide 13 by 9, in this case, that's going to give us 1.4 clients. Now, unless you work with midgets, you're not going to acquire 0.4 of a client. So we'll do the same again. We're going to round up, which means that you need 2 clients per week, every single week, over those 9 weeks. And if you do that, you are going to arrive at our top box, which was the goal of 5,500. And you're going to do that because in selling, 2 clients a week for 9 weeks at £179, you're going to make up the gap of 2,300. You might need to run over that a couple of times for it to make sense. I realize it's a lot, but once you get your head around it, it makes a lot of sense. And hopefully we've laid this sheet out in a way that makes sense to you as it does to our coaches. So if you need 2 clients every single week for 9 weeks, basically what you now need to do is you're going to require a system to track these as KPIs. It could be something as simple as popping it into your calendar. We have a system for our private clients that we give them to track this stuff, but for the sake of you just now, it's easy peasy. Go into your calendar, say a Sunday night, every week for the next 9 weeks, pop a little reminder that you should be at 2 clients week 1, 4 clients week 2, 6 clients week 3. You get the picture. And you can then gauge how far or away you are from the goal, just like with lifting. Now, week 1, maybe you don't sell 2. Maybe you sell none. And that's okay. Guess what? You're going to work through all the weeks, and at least that way you know where you're at. At least that way you know you're behind or you're ahead, which can be a tool either way. Regardless, every single week we want to know where we're at versus the goal. And you just want to go into that calendar appointment that you've made for yourself and score yourself versus where you were planning to be. That's really it. If you can plug this into your business and do this on a quarter-to-quarter basis, I promise you, you will be further ahead than your current system on the basis that setting goals is not enough. A goal of making £5,500 in and of itself is kind of useless. And James Clear talks about this extensively in Atomic Habits. Outcomes in and of themselves are not the thing that drive us forward. It is the actions that are the thing that drive us towards the outcome. So our actions here are 2 clients per week. Now we'll do a whole other series of videos on if you need 2 clients per week, how many calls would you need to book, and what's your conversion rate, and what's your show up rate, and how many messages would you need to send, and so on and so forth. But for the sake of this video, you've now got a system for breaking down financial goals quarter to quarter, setting goals, working out what that looks like, and compartmentalizing that into the component parts that you need to do. So suppose if you go away with anything at all from this video, it should be that financial aspirations, no matter how big yours are, they're not actually as far away as you think they are. You just need to plan more and have more data.